Hello all. In today's video, we are going to look at the top 40 interview questions related to Postman tools and its answers. So, first mostly asked question is what is mean by Postman or what is Postman tool? So, generally the Postman is a very popular API testing tool that helps the development team to create, share and test an API, and Postman tool provides some GUI interface to the API and command line utility for experienced tester. Means if you are a new or fresher, you can use the GUI interface of it, and if you have more experience or you have a very hands-on very good practice on Postman, then there is also a command line interface is also provided. So you can say the Postman is basically a simple API platform that is used to develop or to share or to test the API. So it is used for creating documentation for API, or you can say test suites can be quickly designed by using Postman. So it is basically store the test information to be used by the other test, and so it integrate with some plugins such as Jenkins, which makes it more powerful. This particular Postman tool is very powerful when it integrate with the some plugins named as a Jenkins. So basically the Postman tool gives you a facility to send the HTTP request to a service and get the response back. So we ensure by sending the request whether that system is running or not by once we get the response. So this Postman is, you can say, it's a collaborative platform for API development, and it is popular API client, and it enables you to design, okay, share, build the and document the API. This is nothing but the Postman tool. Then the main thing is what is the use of platform or why we prefer to use a Postman tool. So basically this Postman tool is having some features like it's a free. So this Postman tool is freely available software which is basically used for API testing, and you can download it and you can easily use it freely. Then second most important point, it is very easy to use, as Postman is also providing you a GUI interface. Okay, then you can here send the HTTP request for the various type like get, boot, post, patch, etc. different methods, and here you can download it and send your request within a minute, and it so it will be very easy to use, and it is very user friendly. By looking at the Postman tool, you can easily understand where I need to click and where I need to send a request. Then the most important point is it offers you a runtime services that helps you to manage the API collections. Then it is, you can say, it is having a vast community forum. So community forum or community and support means what? It has a huge community forum for customer support, you can say. Then by it has a lot of community support by which you can provide a lot of documentation, or it is very easy to use, or the main thing is that as it integrate with the Jenkins, so its use make very powerful. Then the main point is to begin with the Postman, as it is a freely available, you need not to struggle for getting it. Okay, the main thing is that it is extensible, means what, according to, if I want to customize it and according to our need, we can customize this particular tool. Then it mainly support for the API. So for using API calls like REST, SOAP or plain HTTP request and response, it is very useful. So it can be providing you a very fast response, and it is used to manage end-to-end life cycle of API. Then as it integrate with the Jenkins, so by using some command line interface or command line collection runner, it makes its use very powerful. And the main thing is that by as it's providing a runtime services through which you can easily manage the API collection, then different environments is the main thing or the main purpose we prefer the use of Postman. Then the main next question is which programming language is used for Postman test? Always remember JavaScript language is used for the Postman test. Then the next question is what are the standard rules for API test design? So there are, you can say, the standard design are like the setup. Here for setup you need to create the object, then you need to initialize the data, and to then you have to start the service, and then for execution apply the API for scenario, right? Then for verification you can evaluate the result, then reporting it, for reporting it includes the result like pass, fail, or a block status. Then cleanup means what? Pre-tested. So these are the basic standard rules. What are the different rules? Like setup, execution, verification, reporting, and cleanup are the basic rules, or you can say key design principles are comes under the Postman. Then what is mean by Postman Monitor and what it is used? So basically, as monitor words what define, the Postman Monitor is used for running the collection, right? So collection runs till the specified time defined by the user. So basically monitoring technique is used for keeping the track, right? So here the, the monitor of Postman. Postman Monitor means what? It keeps the track of performance of your API. So Postman has a built-in monitoring capability, and which helps you to use the API development and performance in very effective manner. So these performance monitors are primarily focused on the operation of collection runner. They run the request in the collection and look at the values or the result in the test script. So this Postman monitor feature is used for running the collection until user specified time, whatever the time given by the user, till that time this particular Postman monitor is run. And however user can log in into account by for using this particular feature. Then the most important thing is how can we access the Postman variable? It's very simple. By just entering the name of variable you can access the variable. Then the main question is when we use a global collection and local variable. Actually, this is the, you can say, these are the different types of variable. So what is meant by global collection and local variable, or when we use? So basically global variable, you can say it's a general purpose variable. Okay. So when they are using while passing the data to other requests, so for quick result, you can use a global variable. When you are going to use a collection variable, so collection variable is generally used for storing some constant that do not change during the execution of collection. So these variables are used as a constant or in this particular collection variable. Means for example, I will tell you the one value which I need to, means if I want to calculate the result of student, right? And for calculating a percentage, if I want to divide the specific number by, you can say 100, right? So this 100 value is a constant value, means if other marks values will get changed, but the division by which number I am going to divide is not going to change. So these constant values are stored as a, or it is known as a collection. Then local variables means what? The local variables are nothing but the temporary variables. So as per the request of user or as per the need of customer, these local variables are specified. Then the main question is can we set the name for global scope variable in Postman? Means same name. Can I declare the two global variables, two global variable name as the same? So the answer is no. We cannot give a same name to two global variable. Why? Because global variables are accessible by all the methods, right? So here you can, you cannot duplicate the names, but for local variables you can give the same names but for duplicate it is not allowed because it creates the confusion in software, so which I have to access. So that the answer is no. Then the main is which variable, global or local, give the higher preference in the postman. So for that I will give you a simple example. For example, the two variables you have declared with the same name, same name. Global variable is also having the same name and local variable is also having the same name. Then which one get the preference? So here in this case the local variable gets the higher priority than the global variable. Always remember. Then can local variables are imported in postman monitors? So answer is yes. These variables are imported into Postman Monitor, and but it does not allow to import a global variables. You cannot import the global variables, but you can import the local variable. This is most important concept in the Postman. So always remember. Then the main point is what are the Postman workspace? So basically the workspace means what? Workspace are the Postman provided areas or the space for team. For what? For collaboration on specific set of collection, and it allow you to logically divide the request or the collection, right? For you can say exclusive to a development developer or team, or basically you can say the workspace is a collaborative environment for the user, right? For what? To develop and test the API. So basically there are two types of workspace. First is a personal workspace and second type is a team workspace. So personal workspace means what? The personal workspace means it is, you can say, is a workspace which is essential when working on the multiple projects on simultaneously, right? And then here you need some logical separation between the request to handle. So this personal workspace will be there. So basically you can remember, for logical separation of project you can use this particular personal workspace. And what is meant by team workspace? Team workspace means these are designed for the group collaboration, so multiple people can participate in the testing request. Or these team workspaces are generally created for collaborating with a multiple people which are the part of same team. So this team workspace is used at that time. So basically, the Postman workspace are nothing but the collaboration areas or space where one or many peoples can work on the same collection or same set of collection. So here it is a way to logically separate the collection or a request from each other, or simply you can say it's abstraction in terms of logical separation. Then the next most important question is what is meant by collection in the Postman. So basically, as name suggests itself, collection means it's a collection or group, right? So in Postman, this collection is used to organize the request, right? So that are related with each other. So collection is equivalent to, you can say, if you have created one folder on your PC which is having the same project details, right? So this, it is a set of requests that are grouped together for what? For same type. So in the Postman, it's a most important feature. It provides a feature as a running whole group of requests just together by using one click. So this is nothing but the collection. Then the most important point is what is the difference between Postman Monitor and Postman Collection Runner? So Postman Monitor is, you can say, is a way of running the collection, or it's an automated way of running the collection. These postman monitors are used to run the postman collection. So collection triggered automatically as per specified parameters, whereas postman collection requires some manual effort. So this is main point you have to remember. Postman monitors can run automatically, and postman collection runner you need to do some steps manually. So the postman collection runners runs the collection for iteration what you want, and it will stop when you stop the software. right? But Postman Monitor will run your collection at a regular time interval. So this is the main difference between Postman Monitor and Postman Collection Runner. Then the main point is it possible to iterate the request more times in Postman? So answer is yes. How you are going to iterate it? By using this collection runner. You can iterate the request at specified time interval using this Postman collection runner. So main question is, what is API? So API is nothing but a application programming interface. As in previous videos I have explained in very detail what is meant by API. Please go through that video. I will give the link in description box as well for same. Here on high end I will tell you API is nothing but a application programming interface, and main point you have to remember, it is, you can say, it is sets of rule which specify how one software can interact with the other software, is a basic definition of API. So the next is, what are the different tools used in the API testing? So the different tools like SOAP UI, then Apigee, then JMeter, Postman, these are the, then Catalan Studio. So these are the some tools which are generally used for API testing. Then how to get API information from web developer tools into Postman? For that, if I want to take information into Postman from web developer tool, then I need to copy the CURL for that particular application. Then by using that I can get a information. Then the most important question is, what is meant by query parameters and path variable? So query parameters are used for sorting and filtering the resources, and path variables are used to identify a specific resources, is the main difference. So it is used for sorting and filtering, and it is just used for identifying. Then what are the different status codes in Postman? This is very important question, and always they will ask you the status code information. So remember, the 200 is status code which represents the OK, means it specifies the request is correct. Then 201 is created. If status code is showing 201, means what? The specified that user value wrapped with the request has been created. It means resource is created successfully using post or put method, and it returns a link to newly created resource with the location header. Then 204 means no content. It specifies that the request was correct and received, but there is no content to send, means there is no any response to send you to the client by the server. Then 400 means what? It's a bad request. The status code 400 represents what? Bad request, means the request which you have sent is having a wrong syntax. The request is incorrect. Then the 401 means unauthorized request, means what? Whatever the request you are sending, but you are not authorized to send it. Then 404 means not found, when means the server was connected but could not find the request to send you a response. So at that time it will throw the status 404. Then the most important, the status code is 301, means what? In Postman, 301 is status code is used to specify that page has been permanently redirected from one website page to another. So it tells the search engine that the old page is outdated, and search engine has to index to a new URL or the new page where it is moved. Then 304 means what? It means not modified. It is used to reduce the network bandwidth used in the case of conditional request. So response body should be empty here, and header should have the date and location. Then the most important question is, what is the history tab in Postman? What is the purpose of this history tab? So all the request you send to a postman appears under the history tab, means whatever the previously I have sent some request and I want to access it. So I can access it through a history tab. Then what is the Postman collection? As we have seen, the Postman collection is nothing but a group of individual which request together. So simply it used to organize the request into a folder. Then the most important question is where we can view the request logs and response logs in a Postman. So you can view these request logs and response logs in Postman console window. Must remember the answer in Postman console window. Then what are the different authorization methods provided by Postman? So API key or basic authentication, digital authentication, AWS signature, NTLM authentication, then HAWK authentication. These are the some methods which are used by the Postman for authentication. Then what is mean by term environment? Environment means what? The environment in Postman is, you can say, set a key value pair. So you can create a multiple environment for the specific purpose, and you can switch from one environment to another environment. So here you can create the different variables under the environment. So when you create the environment inside a Postman, you can change the value of key pair, and it will also reflect on the request. So basically an environment just provide a boundaries to a variable, or you can say the environment is nothing but a scope. So there are two environments, that is you can say global environment and local environment. It defines the scope of variable, so which is further we are going to use into a request. Then the what is mean by HTTP request? Okay, so HTTP request is nothing but a program that client or the user is going to send to a server for getting a response, is nothing but HTTP request. So basically the HTTP request is a programming request made by the client, right, to get some response from server. So HTTP works as a communication interface or a request response protocol between client and server. The main aim of HTTP request is to access a resource from the server. So the basic example of HTTP request is, you can, for example, you type some URL, right? And when you hit that URL, your web server will give you a response back to the same. It's a basic example of HTTP request. Then the main question is, what are the core components of HTTP request? So basically the core components of HTTP requests are, first one is the HTTP method. So it sets the request method for a desired for particular action like get, put, post, delete are some HTTP methods. Then URL, URL means what? It describes the resource. Then HTTP version means what? It specifies the version of HTTP, right? Then request header means what? It specifies the content or type or the content length of request. Then the main point is a payload. Payload means what? It is used to specify the request body. It includes the which is having a message content, or it contains a data which client requested from the server. So the core components of HTTP request are HTTP method, URL, HTTP version, request header, and payload. Then the next question is, what are the core components of HTTP request? So the core component of HTTP request are response or status code. Means as we have seen the different status codes. So these status codes are sent by the server. So this is the core component of HTTP response. So please make correction over here. The core components of response. Then HTTP version. Then response header means it includes the HTTP response. Then response body, it contains the data which a client requested from a server. Then the most important question is, what is the payload? What is meant by payload? So payload of API module is the body of your request and response message. It contains the data you can send to a server when you make a API request. So you can send a send and receives the payload in different format. Then the most important question is, what do you understand by scratch pad, or what is the concept of scratch pad? So basically the scratchpad is nothing but a place where which is provided by the postman. It helps you to work with or without without need of any connection, or without connection to the postman server. So basically scratchpad is a space provided by the postman, right, to work without being connected to postman server. Means uh, in offline also you can send a request and able to take a response. So this scratchpad is basically a workspace which allows you to operate without depending on the postman server. So you can use some postman features when you are not connected to internet. So these features include the collection, creating a collection, then create a request and submitting the request. Then the most important point is, or the question is, what are the API different types of API requests supported in Postman? So the different API requests like a get, post, put, patch, copy, delete, options, head, link, lock, unlock. These are or view are the some types of API requests. Then what are the various variable scopes provided by the Postman? Global variable, local variable, environment variable, collection variable, and data variable. These are the different types of variable. So what is meant by global variable? The global variable allow the data to be shared between many collection, right? So it access between the different collection, and it you can also means these global variable are also known as a general purpose variable, which is useful for accessing a quick result. Then local variable means what? You can say these are the temporary variables or only available within the request or within that environment only. So these variables are no longer available for the script when it finished the running. Then environment variable means what? It allows you to you can say it allows us to customize the request by development settings. So local setting, stage setting, or production setting. So basically these different development environments are used for local testing. Then the collection variable, it is mostly used for storing some constant value, or it is set the available for all requests or the collection. They are unaffected by the surrounding. Means if any change is made in module, it is these variables are not going to affect. Then the data variable means what? This data variables comes from the external JSON or CSV files. Okay, so it defines a data set, collection runner, or Newman needs to conduct the collection, or collection runner or Newman. Then the next question is how we can access the postman variable. So to access a postman variable, just enter the variable name. Okay, is it possible to give a duplicate name? So as we have already seen, no, you cannot give a duplicate name. Then how can you remove the local variable? So local variables are automatically removed once test have been executed. So it get automatically removed. You know, need not to remove it. Then the next is, how can you log the, you can say well, the next is main question is, what is the GUID and where it is used? So basically the GUID is nothing but a term which refers to a identifier globally unique identifier. So it is a set of hexadecimal digit. It's separated by hyphen and solve the purpose of uniqueness. So basically this GUID is it is postman identifier. Means basically to identify the something in, or you can say in postman, that this GUID is used. Then most important next question is how can we access the history in Postman? So basically to access the history in Postman, the history tab is provided in Postman. So there you can click on the view more option and you can access all the history or the all other requested you have made in the Postman. Then what are the main limitations of Postman? So basically the Postman cannot proceed the more than 1000 requests. Then in case of huge project, it is not helpful to manage and it is not suitable for managing the workspace in form of code. So these are the few limitations of Postman. Then what is the purpose of or what is the use of Postman Cloud? So Postman Cloud is, you can say, it's a centralized location. So where business can access the Postman collection. So generally the Postman Cloud, once you log in, anyone can team can access the data from that particular cloud and collection from any location is the main use of Postman Cloud. So these are the few questions which are basically asked in the ask regarding Postman tool. So I request you please subscribe to our channel. Please check the other links which are given on I button and description box. Please do like, share and comment. Thank you.